Bonsoir tout le monde. We will now call the meeting to order. Madame la greffière.
Your Worship, all public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated. Hearing-assisted devices are available at the entrance of the council chambers. Members of the public have the right to address City Council in the official language of their choice. Meetings are broadcast live in both official languages on the city's YouTube channel, accessible via moncton.ca, and will also be aired at 9 p.m. this evening on rogerstv.com. Individuals who have registered with the city clerk's office at least 7 days prior to the meeting will be allocated 5 minutes to deliver their presentation. All other public presentations will be allotted 2 minutes. 1 minute warning will be provided to indicate the time remaining. An important reminder to all presenters, city staff, and council members are expected to conduct themselves respectfully at all times. Disparaging remarks, offensive language, or profane expressions directed towards council, staff, or members of the public will not be permitted. Any breach of this code of conduct may result in the presenter being directed to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Toutes les séances publiques du Conseil municipal de Moncton sont traduites simultanément. Des appareils d'aide à l'audition sont disponibles à l'entrée de la salle du Conseil. Les membres du public ont le droit de s'adresser au Conseil municipal dans la langue officielle de leur choix. Les séances sont diffusées en direct dans les 2 langues officielles sur la chaîne YouTube de la ville, accessible sur le site moncton.ca, et seront également diffusées à 21h ce soir sur rogerstv.com. Les personnes qui se sont inscrites auprès du bureau de la greffière municipale au moins 7 jours avant la date limite de dépôt de l'ordre du jour de la séance disposeront de 5 minutes pour faire leur présentation. Tout autre intervenant public disposeront de 2 minutes. Un avertissement d'1 minute sera donné pour indiquer le temps restant. Un rappel important: tous les intervenants, le personnel municipal et les membres du conseil municipal sont tenus de se comporter de manière respectueuse en tout temps. Les remarques désobligeantes, le langage offensant ou les expressions grossières à l'égard du conseil municipal, du personnel, des membres du public ne seront pas tolérés. Tout manquement à ce code de conduite peut entraîner l'expulsion de l'intervenant de la salle du conseil à la discrétion du président ou de la présidente.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la greffière. We have an agenda before us. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Conseiller Légère, Conseillère Leblanc. Donc, any questions? No questions. So we will go to a manual vote, which is a show of hands. Tout le monde est d'accord? Motion carried.
Okay.
Merci.
Next would be conflict of interest, les déclarations des conflits d'intérêts.
Are there any conflicts of interest? There are none, Madame la greffière.
Next would be the adoption of minutes, les adoptions des procès-verbaux. And today we have 2 sets of minutes, May 20th and June 9th, 2025.
So do we vote both of these together?
Yep.
Separate. Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Conseiller Kingston, Conseiller Butler. So any questions? No? No. So we will go to a show of hands for vote. In favor, merci. Motion carried.
There are no consent agendas, questions soumises à l'approbation ce soir. Next is public and administration presentations, exposés du public et de l'administration, and we have 1 public presentation this evening. It's a presentation, Transformation of Dangerous Spaces, and to do this presentation is Christopher W. Quigley, Executive Director of Alpima Art Workshop. Mr. Quigley, you can come to the podium.
Bonsoir, Monsieur Quigley.
Could you push your button and I will give you access just right there?
Bonjour, thank you. My name is Christopher Quigley. I'm the artist, and I am the founder and executive director of Alchemia Art Workshop. We are a nonprofit art workshop based in Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. I hail from Mahone Bay. We're known for our 3 churches and an alarming amount of antique shops. I am here with my board chair, Sarah Riley from S&G Strategic, and I'm here to discuss with you a project that I've been working on that is one of the most pressing public safety and human rights issues, gender-based violence and intimate partner violence. It's called Transformation of Dangerous Spaces. It's a traveling public art installation that confronts men with the uncomfortable realities of power, privilege, consent, complicity through highly immersive, multisensory, interactive experience. This project started after a death in my small town. We have a small town of 1,000 people, and her name was Elaine Mosher, and she was killed in our small town, and it affected me. It affected me to a state where I wanted to help. I wanted to do something that would help shift the needle and help create more of an understanding about what we're dealing with. And somewhere between the second coffee and the last bite of a Danish that we were having, we started talking about something much heavier than just housing and the issue. We talked about violence and the systems that fail women, the systems that fail men, and the systems that build men. We talked about lack of consent and the silence that threads through all of it. That day changed me because I realized that men like me, we just can't be aware anymore. We have to be involved, accountable, and take responsibility for the culture that we've inherited and the one that we continue to shape. This follows the mass casualty report requesting and asking men to participate more in the issue, because this isn't a women's issue, it's a men's issue. And so that conversation with Kellyanne was the beginning of Transformation of Dangerous Spaces, and it didn't come from a boardroom, it just came from a couple of people sitting around over coffee asking, what if we did something that actually mattered? So I created this because I have a deep personal connection to the topic. It isn't abstract or distant for me. It's not metaphorical, it's historical, it's personal, and it's close to home. This project is rooted in lived experience and is in my way of turning something that was painful into something that may help others. It's actually an 8-stall immersive experience designed to mimic a familiar gendered environment like a public restroom stall. So we recreate 8 of these in a controlled bathroom or controlled gallery environment. Each stall confronts a different facet of gender-based violence and intimate partner violence. And it's built to travel to galleries, universities, public spaces, places where we can educate. So we look at this as less of just gallery art, but it's also action. We are also partnering with the Law Foundation of Ontario to develop an education module program that can go to trusted intermediaries across the country and be edited and used to different municipalities. We have 8 stalls, starting with each experience is not made to shame, but to awaken and to turn passive observation into active responsibility. It's designed to simulate psychological pressure using sound, light, text, projection, and multiple sensors. It's not a passive experience, it's meant to be a reckoning. 1 in 3 women in Canada experience intimate partner violence, and that's a public health crisis. That's a justice issue. And yes, it's a local government issue. But despite decades of tireless daily activity and advocacy, education, and awareness campaigns, the numbers remain stubborn. And one reason is that the people who need to be part of the conversation, the men, aren't. And this project changes that. It invites men into the dialogue in a way that is direct, human, and impossible to look away from. This project is just one man's response to that call, and it's an attempt to show up, to listen, and take some responsibility. But it doesn't pretend to have all the answers. It does begin to where real change starts with accountability, vulnerability, and a willingness to feel something. One of the reasons that this is urgent now is that 123,319 police-reported intimate partner violence cases were reported in 2023. That's 1 every 4 minutes. 78% of victims are women and girls, and 44% of intimate partner violence is never reported. We're not about, this project is not about blame, it's not about shame, it's about acknowledgement. It's about breaking the silence. It's about standing in the discomfort long enough to understand what others endure daily. And it's about initiating change, some real change, cultural change. And we believe and we know that every community has dangerous spaces and every community has the power to transform them. Thank you for your time, and let's transform the silence into action.
Thank you so much, Mr. Quigley. Are there questions from colleagues? Conseiller Légère.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thank you for the presentation. So is it then the type of exhibit, if I may call it that, that would, for example, be able to be in our lobby area where we have a gallery, or or are you looking at larger public spaces such as, I don't know, we have the Avenir Center, which sees a tremendous volume of people go in and out?
It could be in the gallery space, but we do need around 1,000 square feet.
Okay, so
There are 8 separate stalls that are about 4 foot by 4 foot, about 9 feet tall. They have a door on them that you access, and then
Okay.
there is an interactive experience on the interior.
Okay, all right. So perhaps the city manager, maybe can the discussion continue with staff and see what appropriate identifiable locations could be?
Yeah, we'll bring it back to staff
Yeah.
and with the presentation and get back to Mr. Quigley.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I think
You're very
it certainly is a very important topic and situation, unfortunately. New Brunswick has a very high incidence of violence against women, and so I think this is timely. So I look forward to identifying some locations. And so
Thank you.
is this something that would stay in our community for a number of weeks?
Yes, just to preface it, at this stage, we aren't asking for anything other than just endorsement and support of the project that we've been doing. As I go across the country, these are meetings that I'm going to be having. The project will be available in both official languages, just to make sure that that's very clear. And it will be a traveling exhibition that can be in a town as long as it needs to be there. Each installation will have a community trauma-informed therapist at the beginning of each installation day, and somebody at the end that will be there to do a debrief. We are partnering with other companies to collect qualitative and quantitative data to see how we're shifting the needle as we take the project across the country. So any support that we can get from the cities and the municipalities like yourselves is going to be very helpful.
Can you perhaps tell us about some experience with other municipalities, or are we the first? I'm just
No,
curious.
I have presented to Mahone Bay, to Modal, to St. John, New Brunswick, which that was just at the end of last month, with a unanimous vote to support, and I'm now working with one of their councillors to secure gallery space.
Okay.
I will be in Fredericton, St. John's, Newfoundland in November, Ottawa in September, and then the rest of the country up until we start fabricating in late 2026.
Okay. Another contact, too, could be the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick,
Yes, thank you.
and that could bring you into other communities, because I
That would be
really do think
fantastic.
that would be very beneficial as it would go across the province. So
Thank
thank
you.
you very much, and
Thank
look
you so
forward
much.
to a location
Thank you
soon.
very much.
Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Légère. Thank you again for the presentation. So
My pleasure. Thank you
we
so
will
much.
follow
Eva.
up.
Thank you.
Madame la greffière.
There are no administration presentations exposées de l'administration ce soir. Planning matters, question d'urbanisme. The first is an introduction, rezoning Grant Street Daycare, and I believe, Sarah Anderson is here to lead this file.
Bonsoir, Sarah.
Bonsoir. Right. So this is an application to rezone PID 705-05730 on Grant Street from R2 two-unit dwelling to P1 park and community use. And that is to permit the development of a purpose-built daycare facility. A new zoning amendment will apply to the property, and the development will be subject to conditions outlined in a resolution of council. So the subject site is located in the northeastern part of the city, and that is in Ward 4. The surrounding neighborhood is mainly residential in nature. It's comprised of a mix of different zones and densities. There are single and two-unit dwellings to the north. Those are zoned R2 or two-unit dwelling. There are 2- and 3-story apartment buildings to the south and the west. Those are zoned R3 or multiple-unit dwelling. Fairview Knoll Park is to the east of the site, and that's zoned P1 or community use. And just given the sort of general area, seeing as this daycare will be serving children ages 10 months to 12 years, the development is located very close to several schools, École Le Sommet, École Le Mascaret, École L'Odyssée, and Forest Glen School as well. So this is the site plan. The applicant is proposing a 3-story daycare facility. The daycare will accommodate indoor and outdoor play space, a surface parking lot, and covered bicycle parking. The daycare will accommodate up to 219 children and 26 staff members. The daycare is oriented towards Grant Street with pedestrian connections from the sidewalk to the entrances and the exits of the building. The daycare will be connected to the Fairview Knoll Park on the east side by the public sidewalk. And then Fairview Knoll Park offers an accessible playground, a splash pad, benches, and shaded seating areas as well for the children. The site is currently vacant. There are existing trees and vegetative cover along the west and north of the property lines. The applicant is proposing to maintain those treed areas, and additional tree planting is proposed along all property lines. So here are some renderings of what the daycare will look like. A traffic study was submitted as part of the application. The study indicated that the proposed development is expected to generate 187 morning peak hour trips, 157 afternoon peak hour trips, and 982 weekday total daily trips. So overall, the proposed development does support the long-term vision of the municipal plan. It is located within 300 meters of a public transit stop, making it accessible for staff and for families. The proposed daycare provides childcare, which is a desirable community service and a needed service in the area. It's an appropriate built form for the area. It's located on a local street with sidewalks on one side of the street and direct connections to community amenities. The design is walkable, accessible to the public transit, and helps address current childcare needs. So in terms of a recommendation, it is recommended that Moncton City Council proceed with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, being Z 222.52, by giving first reading of the bylaw, referring the bylaw to the Planning Advisory Committee for its written views, and setting a public hearing for October 6th, 2025 at 4 p.m. in Council Chambers at City Hall. And the rezoning, if approved, should be subject to a resolution of council with a number of conditions that are listed and included in the report. And in terms of next steps, if approved by council to go forward, the Planning Advisory Committee written views would be on September 24th, 2025, and the public hearing and second and third readings, if approved, would be October 6th, 2025. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Merci, Sarah. Conseiller Richard, did you wish to move the motion? Oui? Une question. Conseiller Radjet, did you wish to second? Parfait. Donc, allez-y, conseiller Richard.
Merci, Maire Esterio. Thank you for the presentation, Sarah. One issue that I'm not too far from there. So, no parking signs on Grant and Joyce, that corner, that 90-degree. We could add some, or we could extend it so that from what the lot plan shows, so they're not parking, so dropping off kids, we're not parking on the street. That's a tight corner and lots of traffic there already. That could be looked at. That's the city side of it. So.
Sure, yeah, definitely engineering will get them to look at that.
Okay. Also, yes, there are mature trees on the back and on the side. Fencing wasn't, there wasn't a lot of description other than 1 to 2 meter. I would like to see that, a 2 meter, if that's possible.
Okay.
And the 2 meter high opaque fence, the full length of the backside, because you've got 4 or 5 houses abutting that property.
Yep.
You were going to say something?
I was, just to comment that sometimes we run into, when there's already a wooded area or a treed area, by putting up a fence, some of those trees have to be removed because they're right on the edge or the machinery can't get in. And so in terms of this specific application, what was discussed was making sure that the trees don't get damaged. So making sure that where they are thick enough to be a screen, those get left like that, and otherwise do what you can to fill in gaps and put the fence everywhere else that doesn't damage to the trees, I guess.
If it doesn't fit, but I'd
That's
like
right.
it looked at if you don't mind.
Absolutely, yep.
And those were my concerns. Thank you. Merci.
Merci, conseiller Richard, conseillère Edget. Vous avez pas de
Merci,
questions?
Madame la Mairesse. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, this looks like a very good project for this area and a big need, of course. With the approach from Grant to McLaughlin, there is a talk of building a right-hand lane to go, I assume, north on McLaughlin. Is that something we're anticipating to do at the same time as this?
I think the intent was that if it became an issue, that there's enough room in the right-of-way that could be done without major infrastructure changes. So I believe the intent was to sort of see how it goes, and then if it turns into something that is needed, then the city could do that.
Okay. It would probably make sense to do it because there's so many people that are going to turn right instead of left that at that particular intersection. And there's no opportunity, as I understand, for a light to go there because it's
Right.
too close to Hennessy, I assume.
Yes.
I think that should be put in place sooner rather than later in
Okay.
order to assist the movement of traffic in that particular area. I was just wondering if you could explain a little more the zoning, the P1 zoning. This was an R2 before, which is a 2-unit dwelling. And I assume a lot of the land along there was probably R2 at one time and had to be changed to more commercial units. The P1 is park and community use zone?
Yes.
And that always refers to a commercial entity as well?
Typically, it's for community uses, so schools, churches, that type of sort of civic building that where it's not necessarily free or open to, but it is a sort of a public amenity or a public
Certainly.
space.
Yeah, so daycares fall under that particular zoning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess I wasn't aware of that, so thank you. And one of the aspects of daycare zoning was to be on a priority street. And this isn't on one. Is that a big concern to you at all, or the fact that it's?
Through the traffic study, they did look at that, and although it's not on a busy street, it is located, I believe it's within 300 meters.
Yeah, it's very close.
So it's close. It's not always easy to just say daycares can only be on busy streets.
Okay.
So, the idea is that they go in areas where there's a lot of homes, where ideally people can hopefully walk or cycle to pick up their
Absolutely.
kids or drop them off.
This certainly makes that requirement for sure. There are a lot of homes and dwellings in apartments in that area and more going up. So that would certainly meet a big demand there. Thank you very much.
Merci, conseillère Edget. There are no other questions. Oh, so we will go to the vote, which is electronic, right, Madame la Greffière?
We could close the vote. Councillor Bourgeois is not online yet.
So the motion is carried. Merci.
The next item is an introduction to rezoning at 215 McLaughlin Drive, and Sarah is here once again to provide an overview.
Bonsoir encore. All right, so this is another rezoning application. It's to rezone 215 McLaughlin Drive and 138 Redmond Street from R3, multiple unit dwelling, to NC, neighborhood convenience, to permit a specialty grocery store. So the subject site is located in the northeastern part of the city, again, and in Ward 4. The site is located in a vibrant, mixed-use part of the city. The surrounding land uses are a mix of residential densities and zones. There's R2, two-unit dwelling, and R3, multiple-unit dwelling. There's also commercial uses to the south and the northwest. Those are both zoned, to the south is zoned NC, or neighborhood convenience. To the northwest, it's zoned SC, or suburban commercial. The proposal then is to consolidate the two properties that are outlined in red in this image and to create one lot that will be for the proposed specialty grocery store. So the lot at the intersection of McLaughlin Drive and Redmond Street currently has a single-unit home on it. The second lot to the east is currently vacant. So the applicant is proposing to add a single-story addition to that existing, to the back of that existing residential building to accommodate the store. The plan on the right shows the size and shape of the addition on the east side. The building will then consist of retail floor space, unisex washrooms, and a manager's office. So this is the site plan. The parking lot on the east side will accommodate 8 parking spaces, and those are accessed via Redmond Street. A fence will be provided along the eastern property line to screen the parking lot from the abutting residential home. The pedestrian access is from the main door facing McLaughlin Drive. A walkway connects the parking lot at the back to that main entrance at the front of the building. The site is located on McLaughlin Drive. That is classified as an arterial road with sidewalks on both sides. The site is accessible by public transit, and it's close to many high-density residential developments, as well as other amenities and services. The applicant has completed a traffic impact statement to accompany the development plans. The statement indicated that anticipated traffic generated by the development has less than 100 peak-hour trips. There are no sightline issues along this section of Redmond Street, and that the proposed driveway is located over 40 meters from the intersection of Redmond and McLaughlin Drive. So for these reasons, no concerns were raised regarding traffic impacts. So these show a rendering of what the building will look like. The siding will be fiber cement board, which is commonly found within the neighborhood, and it is considered to be a traditional material. You can see there are many windows facing both public streets. McLaughlin Drive is the image at the top where it's all windows, and then Redmond Street, which is on the north side of the building, and that's the second from the bottom, which again has mainly windows facing that side. So the site is designated NH, or neighborhood, in the municipal plan. The application supports the municipal plan's vision by promoting growth and enhancing the neighborhood with an amenity while satisfying the neighborhood policies by being located on a major corridor, being serviced by public and active transportation. It's in proximity to and provides a neighborhood service and an amenity. And the development contributes to an attractive and pedestrian-oriented development. So in terms of a recommendation, administration recommends that Moncton City Council proceed with the proposed zoning bylaw amendments, it being Z 222.51, by giving first reading of the bylaw, referring the bylaw to the Planning Advisory Committee, and setting a public hearing for October 6th. The rezoning, if approved, should be subject to a resolution with a number of conditions that are included as part of the package. So again, in terms of next steps, the Planning Advisory Committee meeting will be September 24th, 2025, and the public hearing and second and third readings would be, if approved, October 6th of 2025. And at that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Merci encore, Sarah. Conseiller Richard, did you wish to move? And Conseiller Adjet, you will second? Okay, c'est beau. And you have questions, oui? Allez-y, Conseiller Richard.
Merci, Maire Asterio. Thank you again, Sarah. All of a sudden busy in Ward 4.
Right?
Right? Not like others. So again, I'm concerned about not enough no parking signs on the side of Redmond.
Okay.
It's very close to the intersection there, so just to make sure that we take care of that on our side, on the city side. Also, there's no lot plan, it's a parking plan that's mentioned there in the CRF or on your presentation. So there's no mention about, not a whole lot of mention about the mature trees. Are they staying? Are they?
It is intended to stay. They are intended to stay. They are mainly on the south side of the lot, and because the construction is mainly taking place sort of at the back, the intent is to save them and the ones on McLaughlin as well, where no construction would be taking place anyway.
Okay, so there is provision there to try and I
to
didn't,
save them. I know
Yeah.
that that is the intent, and I know it is referred to in the report, but I don't know.
yeah,
if
the building
there's
and
a
existing
condition.
mature trees, street, the parking area from the public realm.
Yeah,
That's all. Didn't say much for me.
okay. It is certainly something we can add as a condition.
As long as it's looked at, yeah, I think it's important. There's some nice big ones there,
Yeah.
right? Merci beaucoup.
Merci, conseiller Richard. Conseiller Radjet.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I would just like to comment that I think this is an excellent project where they're using a building that's already there. I don't think we hear that too often, so I would like to comment on good work done to use a still standing building and being able to turn it into a new use. I think the more we see that, it's something to be encouraged for sure with our developers and those who construct in our community. So thank you very much.
Merci, conseiller Radjet. Any other question, conseiller Léger?
Thank you. Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thanks, Sarah. Because the parking lot will be in the rear, and so it talks about providing screening as required by the zoning bylaw, but what type of screen, and I guess that's something maybe the Planning Advisory Committee will discuss, but what would be the type of screening, because those will be residential homes that it will back onto?
It would be a fence.
And will a wooden fence or a?
Yep, sorry, there are conditions about that. It's a 2-meter-high opaque fence, and it would be made of wood, PVC, or another similar quality, but will not be chain link fence.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you very much. Merci. Merci, Madame la Mairesse.
Merci, conseiller Léger. Sarah, I do have a question with regards to the design. Is this the final design, or will it be touched up a bit?
Right now, it's the final. They haven't done the detailed building plans yet, so things may change a little bit. I'm not sure how much they can do with the existing building, other than basically kind of put in windows as much as they can without altering too much the structure of the building. But otherwise, would there be?
What about landscaping?
So there would be a walkway from the main door. So the main door facing McLaughlin will be, a double glass door sort of thing for store, and then the walkway to McLaughlin. They are keeping the trees as much as they can. Otherwise, I suspect they may do some shrubbery sort of thing, but.
C'est beau. Merci beaucoup. So we will go to a vote. There are no other questions. It's electronic.
Once again, Councillor Bourgeois is not online as of yet.
Motion carried. Merci. Merci.
The next item is statements by members of council, les exposés des membres du conseil.
Are there any statements by members of council? Oh, Conseiller Butler.
A very short one. I just would like to pass along that, when the bus stops and that big red light is on flashing, that means to stop. The kids are just going back to school, some of them the first time here in this school, sometimes in this city. So I just want to make sure that we pass along to the drivers I know I've said it many times here, you can't fix stupid, but let's try to keep it as low as we can. The kids are excited to be back to school. We have new crosswalk guards coming and going. So just to put out there that when you see the bus and the lights are flashing, please stop. Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Butler. Any other comments? No? Madame la Greffière.
Next would have been reports and recommendations from committees and private meetings, et rapports et recommandations des comités réunions à huis clos. Il n'y a pas de rapport ni de recommandations ce soir. Next are reports from administration. We have two before us. Les rapports de l'administration. The first is an award for a tender TCS 25022 snow removal Kodiak Transpo bus shelters, stops, and laybys. The motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council approve administration's recommendation to award tender TCS 25-022 snow removal Kodiak Transpo bus shelter, stops, and laybys to the lowest bidder, meeting the terms and conditions and specifications, being Serenity Pools and Landscaping, for the 2025-2026 winter season, with options to extend the contract for up to 2 additional seasons, for a total estimated 3-year contract value of $706,532.40, including HST at 15%.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Conseiller Légère, do you wish to move the recommendation?
May I speak for a sec? I'll move the recommendation with the following addition, and I'd like to read it into the record. And that the approved contractor, Serenity Pools and Landscaping, submit names and detailed information to the City of Moncton on all subcontractors, including their proof of insurance, and that yearly proof of full payment to subcontractors be submitted to the City of Moncton to validate the continuation of the 3-year contract. Also, that the bid bond return at the completion of the 3-year contract be subject to proof of full payment to any subcontractor prior to any release of any bid bond funds. So moved.
Merci, Conseiller Légère. Do I have a seconder for this amendment? Conseiller Steves? C'est bon, merci. So,
If I may just speak to it a bit. I've discovered that as we issue tenders, sometimes there are subcontractors that are hired on behalf of the contractor on which we have given the authority through the tender. And this is a way to just ensure that the subcontractor has somewhat of a protection, guaranteeing that as a municipality, by paying the contractor, we also have assurance that they in turn are paying subcontractors. And so that is why I bring this forward this way.
merci, Conseiller Légère. Jacques, you wish to?
Based on that recommendation, and my purchasing manager is out on vacation, it may be something we'd want to postpone to the next to confirm, because we already have a lot of that legal and requirements in our original contracts. So I'm not sure that the amendment can be valid if it contradicts what we requested when we went out to public tendering. So I would ask potentially to postpone it so we can.
I'm okay with that, and we can bring it back to the next public meeting.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Merci.
Merci, Madame.
Merci, Conseiller Légère.
Can
So we need a vote to
postpone,
postpone.
and it's non-debatable?
Donc, on passe au vote.
I need a mover and a seconder to postpone.
So, Conseiller Légère, you're moving the motion. And Conseiller Steves, you will second it? Okay, c'est bon. So we will go to
An
electronic vote.
vote.
C'est bon. Merci.
You're voting for the
On
postponement. It's
postponing the
non-debatable.
motion.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone has voted that is online. Okay.
Merci, motion carried.
As an FYI, Councillor Bourgeois is not able to sign into the meeting. We're working on getting him in. We're not sure why. The next one is his motion, so it's the will of council.
We would. Conseiller Légère.
I guess in fairness to Councillor Bourgeois, I think it might be fitting to just postpone till the next meeting
Oui, c'est beau.
and allow him to speak to the resolution.
So So do we have are you moving the?
As a seconder,
Okay, c'est
as
bon.
a seconder to that motion, I would suggest and would
C'est
certainly
vrai, c'est toi qui.
So you're moving the motion
go
to
to postpone until the
You need
next
a
meeting.
seconder.
Conseiller Kingston.
Kingston.
C'est beau.
We will advise Councillor Bourgeois. We need a vote. If we can bring up the
Electronic.
electronic vote, please. We can close the vote.
Motion carried. Merci.
Next is reading of bylaws et lecture des arrêtés municipaux. A bylaw amendment. There's two bylaws. They're both first readings, and council's already given me permission to give these readings. So a bylaw amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw being bylaw Z222.52, Grant Street Daycare. This is the first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la Ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté Z222.52, garderie sur la rue Grant. C'est la première lecture. The second is a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw being bylaw Z222.51, 215 McLaughlin Drive, first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la Ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z222.51, 215 Promenade McLaughlin. C'est la première lecture. The final item on the agenda today is notice of motion and resolutions, is avis de motion et de résolution. It's a resolution for UMMB conference voting. Before council is Moncton City Council hereby resolves the Deputy Mayor Paulette Theriault be appointed as a voting member at the meeting of the Union Municipalities of New Brunswick, UMNB, with Councillor Paul Richard appointed as the alternative voting member.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Could I have a mover and a second? Conseiller Léger and Conseillère Adjet. Merci. So any questions? No? We will go to,
Conseiller Richard, as une question? Avez-vous une question? OK.
okay. So we will go to an electronic vote. C'est beau.
We can close the vote.
Motion carried. Merci.
I don't believe you have appointments, so
We don't have any appointments.
There you go.
So, Conseiller Richard, this is a record, okay?
45 minutes.
C'est beau. Merci beaucoup. Merci. On va se préparer pour la prochaine.